Lesson 4. Storming the Bastille. The storming of the Bastille on July 14, 1789 was a pivotal event during the French Revolution. The Bastille was a fortress and prison in Paris that symbolised royal authority and tyranny. The storming of the Bastille marked a turning point in the Revolution and is often seen as the beginning of the overthrow of the monarchy. On that day, a large crowd of Parisians gathered outside the Bastille, demanding the release of political prisoners and the seizure of weapons stored in the fortress. The crowd was motivated by a combination of factors, including economic hardships, political grievances, and a desire for greater political representation. The governor of the Bastille, Marquis de Launay, initially refused to surrender the fortress. However, as tensions escalated and the crowd grew more aggressive, the defenders of the Bastille opened fire on the crowd, resulting in several casualties. This further inflamed the anger of the crowd, and they launched a full-scale assault on the fortress. The crowd managed to breach the outer defences of the Bastille and eventually overwhelmed the defenders. The governor and his men surrendered, and the crowd took control of the fortress. The storming of the Bastille was a symbolic victory for the revolutionaries, as it represented the overthrow of royal authority and the people's triumph over tyranny. The storming of the Bastille had significant consequences. It demonstrated the power of the people and inspired others to rise up against the monarchy. It also led to the formation of the National Guard, a citizen militia that played a crucial role in the revolution. The Bastille. The Bastille was a fortress and prison located in Paris, France. The Bastille was originally built in the 14th century as a fortress to defend the eastern entrance to the city of Paris. Over time, it was repurposed as a state prison. The prison consisted of 8 towers, with a central tower known as the Keep, serving as the main stronghold. The Bastille was known for its harsh and oppressive conditions. Prisoners were often held without trial, and the conditions inside the prison were cramped and unsanitary. Many prisoners were political dissidents, writers, or individuals who had fallen out of favour with the monarchy. The Bastille became a symbol of royal authority and oppression. It represented the absolute power of the monarchy and the lack of political freedoms in France. The prison was seen as a physical embodiment of the injustices and abuses of the old regime. The fall of the Bastille also inspired widespread rebellion and uprisings throughout France. Following the storming of the Bastille, the prison was dismantled and its stones were used for other construction projects. It had already been marked for demolition, but the events of the 14th of July accelerated the process. The event had a profound impact on the course of the French Revolution, as it emboldened the revolutionaries and led to further acts of defiance against the monarchy. The storming of the Bastille is remembered as a significant moment in history, representing the people's struggle for freedom, equality and justice. Today, July 14th is celebrated as Bastille Day, a national holiday in France, commemorating the French Revolution and the ideals it represented. Bastille Timeline. A timeline of the events leading up to and during the storming of the Bastille. July 11th, 1789. Finance Minister to Louis XVI, Jacques Necker, is sacked for putting in place an economic policy that would reduce the king's spending and thereby lower the amount of tax the people had to pay. July 12th, 1789. Fearing a crackdown by the monarchy, the people of Paris began to gather weapons and ammunition to defend themselves. They raided the Invalides. A military hospital and armoury acquired a significant number of firearms. July 14th, 1789. A large crowd of Parisians, estimated to be around 800 to 1,000 people, gathered outside the Bastille. They were motivated by a combination of factors, including anger over food shortages, economic hardships, and political repression. Mid-morning, the crowd demanded the surrender of the Bastille and the release of the political prisoners. The governor of the Bastille, Delaney, initially refused to surrender. Afternoon. The crowd grew in size and became more aggressive. They began to attack the Bastille using makeshift weapons such as pickaxes and crowbars. The defenders of the Bastille, consisting of about 100 soldiers and 30 Swiss mercenaries, fired warning shots, but eventually ran out of ammunition. Late afternoon. The crowd managed to break through the outer defences of the Bastille and gain access to the fortress. They set fire to the parts of the fortress and continued their assault. Evening. Reinforcements from the French army arrived, but they did not intervene on behalf of the defenders. Negotiations took place between the governor and the leaders of the crowd, but they failed to reach a resolution. Night. The crowd managed to breach the inner defence of the Bastille, and a full-scale assault ensued. The defenders, overwhelmed and outnumbered, surrendered. July 15th, 1789. The storming of the Bastille was celebrated as a victory by the revolutionaries. The fortress was looted and the prisoners, including political dissidents, were released. It's important to note that there were only 7 prisoners who were being held at the Bastille and released after the storming. They consisted of 4 counterfeiters, 2 men with mental health problems, and the infamous Marquis de Sade. In their defence, the people generally believed there were many more prisoners being held there. Delaney. Bernard René Delaney was a French military officer and served as the governor of the Bastille during this time of the French Revolution. Bernard René Delaney was born on April 9, 1740, within the walls of the Bastille in Paris, France, as his father was the governor there. Delaney followed in his father's footsteps and pursued a military career. He joined the French army and rose through the ranks, eventually becoming a colonel. He gained a reputation as a capable and loyal officer. In 1789, Delaney was appointed as the governor of the Bastille, a fortress and prison in Paris. The Bastille was seen as a symbol of royal authority and oppression, and Delaney's role as its governor made him a target of the revolutionaries. Death. After the surrender of the Bastille, Delaney and some of his men were captured by the crowd. Despite assurances of safety, Delaney was brutally attacked and killed. His head was severed and paraded through the streets of Paris on a pike. Symbol of the Revolution. The French Revolution cockade was a symbol of the revolutionary movement during the French Revolution, which lasted from 1789 to 1799. It was a circular badge or rosette worn on hats or clothing, typically made of fabric and in the colours of the French flag, blue, white and red. The cockade became a powerful symbol of the revolution and was worn by supporters of the revolutionary cause. It represented the ideals of liberty, equality and fraternity, which were central to the revolution. The colours of the cockade were also significant. Blue and red were for the traditional colours of Paris, while white represented the monarchy. The cockade gained widespread popularity during the early stages of the revolution, particularly during the storming of the Bastille. The revolutionaries who stormed the prison wore cockades as a sign of their allegiance to the revolutionary cause. The cockade became a visible symbol of the revolution and was worn by members of the National Guard, a citizen military formed during the revolution, as well as by ordinary citizens who supported the revolutionary ideals. It was also used as a symbol of identification and unity among the revolutionaries. The French Revolution cockade played a significant role in the visual and symbolic language of the revolution. It represented the overthrow of the monarchy, the fight for liberty and equality, and the desire for a new social and political order. The cockade continued to be worn throughout the revolution and became an enduring symbol of the revolutionary spirit.